The alien arena chose her, but she was just a human. The arena lights blinked on, one by one, cutting through the dusty blue twilight. The sound of drums echoed across the metal stands, rising higher with every second. The alien crowd screamed, in excitement. Horns roared, banners waved. Zura stood at the edge of the massive pit, her feet bare, her clothes torn from a long day of mining. Her hands were still dirty from sorting rocks. She had only come to deliver tools. Now she was standing in front of thousands. She didn't understand why the guards had pulled her out of the supply tunnel. She didn't understand why her name had been shouted by the arena master. Her name was never spoken in places like this. She was just a human. "Enter, fighter." The voice boomed over the loudspeaker. Zura's heart pounded. She looked left, then right. The guards didn't stop her. They only nodded at the stairs leading down into the ring. A heavy door groaned open below. The ground shook. Then he walked out. The alien beast was massive. 9 feet tall, covered in black-gray armor with a jagged horn on each shoulder and tusks curling out from under his faceplate. His name was Drakmar of the Blood Fangs, a champion of 50 victories. Never defeated. "Yow!" Crowd roared louder. Zura's lips trembled. She took one slow step down the stairs. The announcer laughed. "A human? This must be a joke." Drakmar looked up at her, then pointed with his massive war spear. "You send me this thing? She will faint before the first strike." The crowd laughed. Zura swallowed hard and walked into the sand ring. The wind was cold. Her legs felt weak, but she didn't run. Something deep inside her told her not to. She didn't know why. "Pick your weapon," one of the arena droids said as it hovered near her. There were only 3 options: a blunt training staff, a short shield, and a wooden dagger. Zura picked the staff. It was light. She didn't know how to use it, but it felt better than nothing. Drakmar raised his weapon and shouted to the crowd, "I will finish this in 1 strike." The bell rang. Drakmar charged like a storm. Zura froze, but only for a moment. Then something strange happened. Her body moved on its own. She ducked. The spear flew over her head. The beast spun and swung the handle at her back. It hit. She stumbled, and the sharp edge of his weapon scraped her shoulder. Blood spilled down her arm. The sand drank it fast. Suddenly, the arena went silent. Dead silent. Zura turned and saw the beast stop moving. He was staring at the blood. Her blood. The thick red color glowed slightly under the arena lights. Not like normal blood. There was something else in it. Something golden, burning faintly at the edges. The beast dropped his weapon. His breathing became shaky. His huge legs stepped backward. Then, he collapsed. Gasps rose from the crowd. Some stood. Others whispered. Zura stood in the middle of the ring, holding her shoulder, confused. She looked down at the pool of her blood. It shimmered again. Her skin began to tingle. The pain in her shoulder faded. The wound stopped bleeding by itself. The guards ran into the arena. The announcer's voice was shaky now. "The beast has fainted. The human wins." No one cheered. Everyone was staring at her. Zura backed away slowly. Why had the beast fainted? What did he see in her blood? More guards came. One whispered something to the arena master, who suddenly looked afraid. Not angry, not annoyed. Afraid. "Get her inside," he shouted. Zura felt hands pull her away. Through the gates, through the tunnels, into a dark room where no crowd could see her. The door slammed shut behind her. She sat on the cold floor. Her staff was taken. Her wound was gone. She was alone. Outside the room, voices argued. "It can't be. It was the flame blood, I saw it. That line was ended generations ago." "Then explain why the beast fainted." Zura held her breath. Something inside her had changed. Or maybe something was always there, sleeping, waiting. But why her? And what would they do to her now? She wasn't just a human anymore. The eye. First strike drew blood and froze the beast in place. Zura sat in the cold metal room with her back against the wall. Her heart was still beating fast. The lights above her flickered and the air was dry and heavy like it hadn't moved in years. She looked down at her arm. The skin where the beast's blade had cut her was smooth. No scar. No pain. The blood was gone. Her sleeve, once soaked in red, now looked clean, like nothing had happened. But something had happened. Outside the thick metal door, voices were still whispering. Not shouting now, just low, sharp voices. The kind of voices that didn't want to be heard. Zura leaned closer to the wall, trying to listen. She doesn't even know what she is. The blood confirmed it. If the flame line lives, the council will panic. Then she can't leave this room. Zura pulled back slowly. Her stomach turned cold. What flame? What bloodline? What were they talking about? She looked at her fingers. They trembled a little. She wasn't afraid of what she had done. She was afraid of what it meant. The beast who had challenged her was supposed to kill her. Everyone in that arena expected it. The crowd wanted blood. They got it. But when they saw it, they froze. Even he froze. Drakmar, champion of the Blood Fangs, the undefeated alien beast, had dropped his weapon and collapsed like a frightened child, because of her. A loud hiss filled the room. The door unlocked and slid open. Two tall aliens in black robes stepped in. Their faces were hidden under long silver masks. One of them carried a thin, glowing rod. The other had a small scanning device in his hand. "Stand," the masked one ordered. Zura didn't move. "What's going on?" she asked. They didn't answer. One of them raised the rod and pressed it to her neck. It stung for a moment, then felt warm. "Her vitals are rising. She's agitated," the second one said. "She's becoming aware," the first one replied. "We don't have much time." They grabbed her arms. "Hey," she shouted, pulling back. "Where are you taking me?" The one with the rod spoke again. "The Arena Council demands a blood review. You are not permitted to speak until examined." "I didn't ask to fight," she yelled. "Someone forced me in there." They didn't answer. Zura was dragged down a long steel hallway. The lights above turned red as they moved. The deeper they went, the colder it became. She could see her breath now. Finally, they stopped at a round chamber with golden carvings on the walls. Symbols she had never seen before glowed as they approached. The guards placed her in the center of a circle, drawn on the floor. High above, alien elders watched from behind glass, 7 of them seated in wide chairs, their faces hidden in shadows. A voice came through the speakers, calm but heavy. "Human, what is your name?" Zura looked up. "Zura, you were not chosen to fight, yet the arena accepted your entry. Do you know why?" "No," she said. "I was pulled in by the guards." "Do you know why your blood glowed?" She hesitated. "No." The voice paused. "We believe your blood carries something ancient, a power thought lost. A curse, some say. A prophecy, others believe." Zura narrowed her eyes. "I'm just a worker. I mine rocks and carry tools, that's all." The voice turned cold. "That is not all. You made a beast faint with 1 drop of blood. That has not happened in over 700 years. A new voice entered the room. Deep. Familiar. She carries the flame. Everyone turned. A large figure stepped into the light. Drakmar. The beast who had challenged her now walked without armor. His chest was bare, his skin scarred. But his head was low. Eyes soft. "She is not just a human," he said. "She is the last of the flame-blooded. My people once bowed to them. We feared them. We respected them." Zura stared at him, speechless. One of the council elders leaned forward. "Do you confirm that you collapsed not from weakness but from fear?" Drakmar nodded. "Yes. I saw the truth in her blood. The fire, the glow. It called to something deep inside me. A memory of my ancestors. A fear passed down. She carries it," the council whispered among themselves. Zura's hands shook again. "What does it mean?" she asked. Drakmar turned to her. "It means your blood has the power to command. To awaken, to destroy, or to unite. I don't want to destroy anything, she said quickly. But they do, Drakmar whispered, tilting his head toward the council. A loud alarm rang out. Red lights flashed. Seal the chamber, shouted one of the guards. From behind the walls, more soldiers appeared, armed fast, ready. They're not going to let me go, are they? Zura asked. Drakmar didn't answer. She stepped back, fists clenched. Her blood had made a champion fall, but now it had made her a target. And this time, there would be no arena, no crowd, no rules, only survival. Whispers of the old war. And the curse inside her veins, Zura sat alone in a cold underground chamber lit only by one flickering light above. Her hands were bound, but the tight cords didn't bother her. Her mind was racing. Everything had changed, in one moment. She wasn't just a human anymore. Not in their eyes. Not after her blood made a warrior fall. Her blood glowed, and now they wanted to know why. Outside the chamber door, more voices came, calm, sharp, dangerous. One of them spoke, in an ancient alien tongue Zura didn't understand, but she could hear the fear in their tone. The door slid open. Drakmar entered first, not as a challenger, but as something different. A protector, a witness. She didn't know. Behind him came an older alien in a gold-trimmed robe. His skin was pale violet, his eyes dark and watchful. He moved slowly, but with purpose. I am High Elder Vakan, the old alien said in a quiet, steady voice. I was there, when the last of the flame-blood had vanished. I never thought I would see the mark again. Zura kept her eyes on him. What is the flame-blood? Vakan didn't smile. It is not something to be proud of. Not anymore. He walked around her slowly. Long ago there was a war. Not between worlds, but between bloodlines. The flame-blooded were human, yes, but they were born with something no other race could explain. A fire inside their blood. Some called it light. Others called it destruction. Zura listened carefully. They didn't ask for this power, Vakan continued. But when they were threatened, it would awaken. Flames would rise from their wounds. Their enemies burned with just a touch. They were feared and hunted. Drakmar nodded. My ancestors were forced to kneel before a human girl with fire in her hands. She ended the siege of Golthar without weapons. Just a single scream. My people never forgot. Vakan turned to Zura. We believe the last of her kind died 7 centuries ago. The line was cleansed, Zura frowned. Cleansed? He didn't answer. But his silence said enough. So now what? She asked. You kill me because I remind you of someone powerful? Vakan raised his hand. No, but others will try. The flame is dangerous and because it cannot be controlled, and the council fears anything they cannot control. Let them try, Drakmar growled. If they harm her, the arena will burn. Vakan lowered his head. You must understand, child. Your blood will draw old enemies. But worse, there are some who worship it. They believe the flame will return to cleanse the galaxy again. I'm not here to cleanse anything, Zura said. I just want to live. The elder looked at her with sad eyes. Then you must learn what you are. You must remember what was forgotten. He reached into his robes and pulled out a small black cube. When he placed it on the ground, it floated. Zura watched as light poured from it, showing an image of a woman who looked like her. Same black hair, same dark eyes. She stood on a battlefield, flames rising from her back like wings. She was the last flame-blooded queen. Vakan whispered, Your ancestor. Her name was Ilya. Her blood was the last hope of her people. The image faded. Drakmar stepped forward. You are her legacy. Zura shook her head. No, I can't be. But part of her already believed it. The elder stood. You have 2 choices. Remain here under council watch or escape. And learn the truth. If you stay, you may never see freedom again. If you leave, you may never know peace again. Zura looked up at him. And if I stay quiet? If I promise not to use the flame? Vaken's voice darkened. The flame never stays quiet. It burns when it chooses. It wakes in pain, in fear, in love, or in anger. Zura felt a deep chill. She stood. Then I won't stay here like a prisoner. The elder nodded once, then turned away. As he reached the door, he paused. You will be hunted. You will be feared. But there are still those who remember the old ways, and they will help you. Drakmar moved beside her. I will guard her. Vaken looked at him with steady eyes. Then the fate of both your bloodlines is sealed. The door opened, and alarms exploded through the hallway. Red lights, screaming sirens, shouting voices. They've moved up the vote, a voice cried from down the hall. The council declared her a threat. Zura turned to Drakmar. We have to go. Now. He didn't hesitate. With a powerful swing of his arm, he smashed through the side door with his bare fists. Behind them, guards were already racing toward the chamber. Zura ran, down twisting tunnels, past glowing statues, through steam vents and underground lifts. Drakmar stayed close, crushing anything in their way. But she knew this wasn't the end. This was only the beginning. She wasn't just running from them, she was running toward answers. And in her veins, the fire began to stir again. Hotter than before. The beast awakens and kneels before the human, the sky outside the underground. Tunnels was dark and stormy. Rain fell in sharp silver lines and lightning crackled above the metal towers of the alien city. Zura had never seen the surface from this side before. She was always kept in the lower levels where humans worked, slept, and broke their backs mining crystal for alien lords. Now she was running from them. The wind howled around her as she and Drakmar reached the ruins of an old temple on the edge of the city. Vines had grown over its stones. Strange markings were carved into every wall, symbols Zura didn't recognize. They slipped inside. Drakmar sealed the broken door behind them with a heavy steel bar. Then he turned, breathing hard. We're safe, for now, he said. Zura dropped to her knees. Her whole body ached and her skin still burned where her blood had glowed hours earlier. The fire inside her veins hadn't gone cold since the arena. It pulsed stronger now, like it was waiting for something. What's happening to me? She asked. Drakmar sat across from her, setting his blade aside. His massive frame looked tired, worn, but his eyes held something new. Not fear. Not pride, respect. You're waking up, he said. The blood inside you, it's not just a curse or a gift, it's alive. It's remembering what it once was. Zura shook her head. I didn't ask for this. No one does, Drakmar said. But it chose you. The flame always chooses someone when the galaxy forgets its own balance. She leaned back against the wall. The temple air was heavy with silence. Every few moments thunder rolled outside. Then Drakmar did something no one expected from a warrior like him. He knelt. Zura looked at him, stunned. What are you doing? The beast lowered his head. My ancestors once knelt before your bloodline. Before Queen Ilia, who saved us from extinction during the Dust War. My clan swore loyalty forever, and I honor that vow now. Zura stared at him, not knowing what to say. This beast who once stood over her with a weapon now bent the knee before her. I don't want to be a queen, she said softly. Maybe not, he replied. But you may need to become one to survive what's coming. She closed her eyes. Her head hurt. Too many thoughts, too many truths. Then something sharp clicked in her mind. A sound. A smell. A memory? No, a vision. She was standing in flames. Not burning, but glowing. Her hands were lit like stars. Around her were shadows, creatures of smoke. They screamed as she stepped forward. Behind her, a voice whispered, "The fire returns." Zura gasped and opened her eyes. The temple shook. Drakmar jumped up, weapon ready. What did you see? I don't know, but it felt real. Like a message. A warning. Then came a deep humming sound. Beneath the floor, ancient machines waking up after years of sleep. From the far end of the temple, a stone door slid open. Drakmar moved first, blade raised. Zura followed carefully. Behind the door was a wide chamber. In the center, a platform with a glowing circle. Message flickered to life. A hologram. It was the same woman from the Elder's vision, Queen Ilia. Her face was kind but powerful. Her voice echoed through the room, soft and firm. To the one who carries my flame. If you are seeing this, it means they tried to erase us. It means they feared you, as they feared me. But the fire does not die. It only waits. Zura stepped, closer. The hologram responded to her presence, becoming brighter. I left this temple hidden in the ruins of trust, Ilia said. Because one day, one of you would return. And when you do, you must remember, your blood is not a weapon. It is a shield, a light in dark times. The image faded. Drakmar looked at Zura, more serious than ever. You were meant to find this. Zura touched her chest. Her heartbeat was strong, steady, but the flame in her blood was burning hotter now. Then came the sound of boots. Dozens. Outside, the temple. Council hunters, Drakmar said. They followed us. Zura grabbed a fallen staff from the chamber wall. Then we fight. He looked at her again. You are not the same girl who stood in that arena. No, she whispered. I'm not. The door exploded open. Alien soldiers poured in. Black armor, silver weapons, glowing blades. Zura stood tall. The flame inside her answered the threat. As the first enemy charged, she raised her hand, and light erupted from her palm. A wave of gold and red flame shot forward, knocking the soldier across the chamber. Drakmar's eyes widened. You didn't even touch him, he said. I didn't need to, Zura replied. More came. She moved with speed she didn't know she had. Every strike was faster. Her body responded before her thoughts. The staff spun in her hands like it was part of her arm. Flames licked the air. Her hair moved like it was caught in wind, though. None blew. Drakmar fought beside her, back to back, roaring like a wild storm. The temple lit up with fire and sparks. And then, it was over. The last guard dropped. The chamber fell silent again. Zura stood in the middle of the room, smoke curling around her fingers. Her eyes glowed faintly. You've awakened it, Drakmar said in awe. The flame has accepted you. Zura breathed slowly, her chest rising and falling. I didn't accept it, she said. It just became part of me. Drakmar nodded. And now the whole galaxy will feel it, the betrayal inside the council and the plot to silence her. The flames inside the old temple were still burning when Zura and Drakmar stepped over the scattered bodies of the fallen guards. Smoke curled from the cracked walls, dancing in the silence. The storm outside had quieted, but the air felt heavier, like the calm before a greater storm. Zura's hand still tingled. Her blood had glowed again, fiercer than ever before. But something else had happened during the fight, something she didn't understand. She didn't just defend herself. She commanded the flame, and the flame obeyed. She looked down at one of the dead soldiers. His armor bore the mark of the council execution order, 3 silver claws over a black sun. These weren't just guards. These were enforcers sent to erase her existence. They won't stop now, Drakmar said, cleaning his blade. You humiliated them in the arena. You survived the hunt. And now you carry fire they've feared for generations. Zura turned to him. Then we stop running. He looked at her, surprised. You're choosing war? I'm choosing truth, she replied. They can lie to the galaxy, but not to me. I want to know why they fear my blood. I want to know who gave the kill order. Drakmar nodded. Then we go to the High Vault. Zura narrowed her eyes. What's that? The Council's hidden archive, he said. Deep beneath the palace tower, only blood-cleared elites can enter. If you want the truth, it's buried there. They moved quickly through the cities, shadow paths, ancient tunnels once used by rebels long ago. Few remembered them now, but Drakmar's clan had passed the secrets down in whispers. The deeper they went, the colder the walls became. Lights flickered above as they stepped over cables and bones. Hours passed. Finally, they reached a sealed metal door marked with the royal crest. "Wait here," Drakmar said, pulling something from his belt. A small silver medallion etched with runes. He pressed it to the door. It hissed, then opened. But inside was not silence. A voice greeted them. I was wondering when she'd come. Zura stepped in cautiously. A dimly lit room, walls lined with glowing data cubes and memory slabs. In the center stood a tall figure in a black robe with silver eyes. "Who are you?" she asked. The figure bowed. "I am Velan, former advisor to Elder Vakan, and one of the last few who still believes the truth should live." Zura glanced at Drakmar. He was tense but not attacking. "I served the council for 40 years, Velan said. I watched them erase names, rewrite battles, and bury the flame under lies. I wanted to stop it, but I didn't have the strength." Zura stepped forward. "Then why help me now?" Velan reached for a cube on the shelf and activated it. A hologram appeared, one Zura had never seen before. It showed a secret council meeting. Elders seated in the shadows. Elder Vakan stood, his voice clear. "The girl cannot be allowed to live. If the people see the flame rise again, they will follow her, and we will lose everything." Zura's stomach turned cold. Another voice added, "We end the line now, quietly, no trial, no public fight. Send her to the arena. Let Drakmar finish the job." Zura stepped back. Her voice cracked. "They set me up?" Velan nodded. "They didn't expect you to survive." Drakmar growled low in his throat. "I was a pawn." "They counted on your pride," Velan said. "They thought you'd kill her without question, but the flame, it always reveals what's hidden." Zura clenched her fists. "How many others have they killed? How many of my kind?" Velan turned and pulled another cube. "See for yourself." This time the projection showed hundreds of names, locations, planets, hidden files marked "Flame suspects eliminated." Zura felt her knees weaken. She was never the first, just the last. Until now. "They were scared," she whispered. "They still are." Velan looked her in the eyes. "You are more than a symbol. You are proof that truth cannot stay buried forever." Drakmar stepped forward. "We release this. We show it to the galaxy." Velan hesitated. "There's more." He turned to a locked panel. With a code, it opened and revealed a map. Dozens of red lights blinked across the galaxy. "What is this?" Zura asked. "These," Velan said, "are children, traces of the flame, weak, hidden, but alive. You were not the only one. You were just the strongest." Zura's eyes widened. "You mean I'm not alone?" "No," he said, "and that's what terrifies the council most. If they find them, they will be destroyed." She stepped forward. "Then we find them first." Velan bowed his head. "It will not be easy. But there are still voices in the dark who believe in the old light." Suddenly, an alarm blared across the vault. Red lights pulsed. A new voice rang through the speakers. "Unauthorized access detected. Purge protocol active." Velan's face turned pale. "They know we're here." He tossed the map chip to Zura. "Take it. Protect it with your life." Drakmar lifted. His blade. "They're coming." Zura held the chip tight in her hand. The flame stirred in her blood again. But this time she didn't feel fear. She felt fury. "They wanted me dead," she said. "Now they'll see me burn." The blood trial, where she must bleed again across 1,000 systems, screens blinked to life. In the outer colonies, miners froze with dust still on their faces. In the council sectors, Alien nobles leaned forward, in their golden chairs. On forgotten warships drifting in deep space, veterans turned up the volume. All eyes were on one place now, the high tribunal ring, and one girl. Zura stood alone in the center of the ancient circle, her arms bound in chains of obsidian crystal. The sky above was cracked with stormlight, and giant statues of old rulers loomed down at her from every direction. The platform beneath her was built from dark stone, the same place where rebels were once executed, traitors crushed, and legends erased. She could hear the chants in the distance. Some whispered her name like a curse, others like a prayer. But none believed she would leave this place alive. The flame blood must be tested. The announcer's voice echoed across the arena. As tradition demands, the trial of blood will now begin. Zura's chains unlocked. A circle of fire lit up around her. Red energy beams formed a glowing wall. No escape. Above her, the council watched from a floating platform. Elder Vakan stepped forward. His eyes were calm, but his voice held iron. Zura of Earth, accused of deceit, false prophecy, and awakening forbidden bloodlines. Do you understand the trial you face? Zura lifted her chin. I understand you're afraid of what I am. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Vakan didn't blink. If you are truly of the flame line, your blood will burn gold. The arena will know. The ancestors will speak. If not, your sentence will be carried out. Drakmar stood just beyond the ring, held back by chains of his own. His eyes locked with hers. You can do this, he mouthed. Zura breathed deeply. I must. A mechanical arm lowered from the side of the arena. At the end of it was a thin silver blade, cold, sharp, waiting. She stepped forward. The fire circle grew taller. The crowd fell silent. Zura reached for the blade and paused. Her hand trembled slightly, not from fear, but from pressure. The weight of history. The knowledge that millions were watching, that one drop of blood could decide her fate, could light a spark across galaxies, or end her here. She closed her eyes and remembered the temple, the vision, the voice of Ilya. Your blood is not a weapon, it is a shield. She sliced her palm. The blade made a shallow cut, but the air seemed to freeze around her. Blood dropped to the stone floor. 1 drop, 2, 3. And then, it happened. The drops began to glow, soft at first, then brighter. The color shifted from red to orange to gold. Then the light turned white-hot, and flames burst from the wound, swirling into the air like ribbons of fire. The arena gasped. Elder Vakan stepped back. The fire spread across the trial circle but didn't burn her. Instead, it danced around her like a guardian, a living flame that recognized its master. Zura lifted her palm. The fire licked up her arm, but didn't hurt. It listened. It obeyed. The announcer's voice cracked. The trial is past. Cheers broke out from one side of the crowd. Others screamed in fear. Zura turned toward the council. I don't need your approval, she said. The fire speaks louder than your lies. Vakan raised a hand. You've proven the bloodline, but you are still a threat. Zura stepped forward. You've built your power on lies, on hiding the truth, but I've seen your lists. I know how many you've killed. The fire flared higher behind her. Soldiers reached for weapons. Drakmar roared, touch her, and I will rip this tower from its roots. The arena began to shake. The fire around Zura exploded upward, blasting the sky with golden light. A storm of flame filled the air. Not burning, but changing. Breaking chains. Melting lies. Ships above the arena began broadcasting the event galaxy-wide. Every citizen saw the truth. Not just her blood, but her strength. Her courage. Elder Vakan turned pale. We must silence her now, one council member shouted. But it was too late. The fire was everywhere now, and it wasn't just Zura's. Across the galaxy, other children, quiet, hidden, felt the change. Something in them awoke. Small lights flickered in cities, on ships. In refugee camps, the flame had returned. Not one girl, but many. Zura stood in the heart of the firestorm, eyes glowing gold, voice steady. "You tried to bury the truth," she said. "But the blood remembers, the flame remembers, and now," she pointed at the council, "everyone will remember you." Suddenly, explosions rocked the outer arena walls. A rebel ship descended from the clouds, flashing the old banner of the flame. A new voice came over the comms. "This is Captain Alo of the Broken Light. We stand with the flame bearer. We stand with Zura." Vakan shouted, "End this now!" A guard charged at Zura. She raised her hand and the flame flared, tossing him backward without touching him. Drakmar broke free of his chains with a roar and joined her in the ring. The fire recognized them both now. War had just begun, but so had the reckoning. She rose with fire in her veins, and the galaxy watched. The sky over the high tribunal cracked open with fire. Rebel ships swarmed above the towers, their wings lit with blue flame. Smoke curled from broken defense turrets. The city below was chaos. Sirens wailed, alarms screamed, and once untouchable council soldiers fled through the streets. At the center of it all stood Zura. The flame glowed from her hands, brighter than ever. It curled around her like a living force, warming her skin but burning nothing else. Behind her, Drakmar stood like a wall of muscle and fury, eyes locked on the panicking council above. They had tried to kill her in silence. Now the entire galaxy had seen her survive and rise. The floating council platform tried to retreat, lifting, away from the ring. "Not this time," Zura whispered. She thrust her palm upward. The flame leapt from her body, an arc of pure gold, striking the edge of the floating platform. Sparks flew, the craft jolted and tilted. The council shouted, in panic, "Power overload!" "She's targeting the lift!" Zura didn't stop. Her feet lifted slightly off the ground as the fire carried her upward. The entire arena watched, silent now, breathless, as she ascended in a pillar of golden light. Like a comet rising, Drakmar followed close behind, leaping to one of the nearby towers and smashing handholds into the wall as he climbed. On the platform, Elder Vakan stood alone now. The others had scattered like shadows. His calm was gone, his robes torn, his voice trembling. "You don't understand what you're doing," he shouted as Zura landed on the edge. "I understand perfectly," she said, walking toward him. "You ruled through fear, you buried the truth, and you murdered anyone who carried this." She opened her palm. Flame burst from it, not wild but focused, pure. Vakan stepped back. "You think you're strong because you bleed light? You're a child playing with fire." "No," she said, eyes glowing. "I'm the flame that survived. The darkness." Drakmar landed behind Vakan with a heavy crash. The elder froze, caught between the two. "End it," Drakmar said. "Let justice speak." Zura stared at Vakan. He looked so small now, just another man hiding behind robes and lies. "I'm not here for revenge," she said. "I'm here to end your silence." She turned to the galaxy-wide comm system, still broadcasting live. "My name is Zura," she said. "They tried to erase me, but they forgot something. Blood remembers, fire remembers, and now, we all remember." Screens lit up across 1,000 systems. The people saw her standing above their rulers, unbowed, alive, burning like a star. Then she held up the map chip. "These are the names of others like me, children they would have killed, places they would have purged. Not anymore." She pressed a button. The files were released galaxy-wide. One by one, the red lights on the map turned green, marked for protection, no longer for destruction. Elder Vakan collapsed to his knees. "You've started a war," he whispered. Zura looked down at him. "No, you did. I'm just ending it." Behind her, rebel ships hovered. One opened its side bay, revealing a crowd, humans, aliens, even young children, watching in awe. One little girl, pale and thin, lifted her hand, and flame danced on her fingers. Zura smiled. She's not alone anymore. Days later, the High Council fell. Rebellions ignited across the colonies. Old banners were raised. Statues of false rulers were torn down. Zura became more than a survivor. She became a signal. A living torch passed from hand to hand, world to world. They called her many things. The flame bearer, the light walker, the girl who bled fire. But to the forgotten, the workers, the outcasts, she was hope. Drakmar stayed by her side. Not as a bodyguard, not as a beast, as a friend. He often told the story of the day he fainted in the arena, and how that was the moment the galaxy truly changed. On a quiet night, Zura stood on the roof of a rebuilt school in one of the mining colonies. The stars above her looked different now, brighter, freer. Drakmar joined her, carrying a small metal box. "What's that?" she asked. He opened it slowly. Inside was a crystal flame, preserved from her first trial. Still glowing. "I thought, you might want to keep it," he said. Zura touched it gently. It pulsed at her fingers, warm and calm. "Will the flame ever go out?" she asked. He looked up at the stars. "No," he said. "Not as long as people remember what you stood for." She smiled. "I didn't want any of this," she said. "I know," he replied. "But maybe that's why you were the only one who deserved it." They sat in silence, the flame between them. Somewhere on a distant moon, another child awakened with glowing blood. Somewhere else, an old warrior whispered Zura's name into a fire. And somewhere far beyond, the stars themselves shifted just slightly, as if they too remembered.